Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Green Effect Podcast. This is Season 2, Episode 1. And in the words of the great LL Cool J, don't call it a comeback. We're keeping the nostalgic podcast artwork because, let's face it, I look great in that. And that's when I had more brown hair than I did gray hair. So we're going to hold on to that as long as we can. This has been about, 8 months in the making. And I wanted to take some time off. We had a really successful 2-year run at it, and I wanted to really reinvent it. I didn't want to do the traditional find a guest, try to find a guest, get the guest on, do podcast notes, all that stuff. I wanted to more now bring out the fun of having a podcast and a little more off the cuff. And, you're going to hear about the new format in just a moment, but I think it's pretty exciting. It's pretty reflective of COVID times, we'll call it, where we just kind of make it up as we go along. So without further ado, thanks for listening. Thanks for coming back. Season 2, Episode 1, all about the new format, stuff that's going on in the world. Here we go.
Welcome to the Green Effect Podcast. Finance, life, business, and everything in between. And now, your host, Stephen Green.
Hello, everyone. Season 2, Episode 1. Here's all about the new format. As I said in the intro, it's going to be off the cuff. It's going to be a little less scripted. It's going to be a little bit more fun, I think. We can bring out some personality in people. Here's how this works. If you would like to be on the Green Effect Podcast, hit me up. Let me know. I want to throw it open. Instead of me looking for guests and I want this topic and that topic, I want to have some fun with this. If you're someone who's got something to say and it's interesting, it's fascinating, it's whatever, I want to hear from you. Okay, hit me up. We can do it on Zoom, so we have safe COVID guidelines and stuff like that. But I want to hear from you. Who wants to come on and talk about finance, life, business? It doesn't have to always be mortgages. You guys know that's what I do for a living. You know how I feel. Mortgages, a lot of fun to talk about, as long as it's a short conversation. So, if you've got something you want to kind of chat about, hit me up and we'll have you on. Having said that, let's talk about a few topics that I'm really interested in, just to kind of throw it out there about the kind of stuff we want to maybe talk about on this show in general. So, I know everybody loves this topic, and I'm excited to talk about it non-stop. Let's talk about COVID. Let's just go through it. Let's rip off the Band-Aid, and let's just talk about it. Hey, I got a question for everybody out there. How is everybody actually coping? So it's like mid-March, when we used to have that March break thing where we would all kind of go away with our families and, or at least have some time off and kind of relax. I think people are a little bit on edge, and I think I'm one of them. The last few weeks, I won't lie, have been trying, and I think it's our first taste of our lives not being what we are used to through the winter months. And let's face it, a lot of people, there's that, what's that condition called SAD, seasonal affectiveness disorder. I'm sorry, I don't know everything about that and how it's worded, but, people who are impacted by the seasons. And now we've got not only that, but we've also got all these restrictions and stuff like that. I feel, I'm on edge. The people I work with, through no fault of their own, a little bit on edge. And now we're going to throw into the pot that we don't have a break, that most people, by time mid-March, need the heck out of town, okay? And I don't know. I've started working out again. That's a whole other topic. But it's been a little bit rough. Like, who's with me on this? And I think, part of me coming back with the podcast, I was joking with my wife and I said, I got to get the podcast going. I've got the idea. I've got to make sure I make the time to do it. And I said, man, maybe it'll be like a therapy session. And I think, kind of talking about it, and I'm not knock on wood, I'm not at the point where, I need professional help. Others may disagree. However, I think it's something that has become an issue with everybody. And I talk to people, and I talk to people I work with, and it just, everyone seems to have this thought that we're on edge. So I don't want to get too far down the COVID road as to what the government should or should not be doing better, because that could be a very, very long episode. But I'm really hoping this vaccine gets out, because we've really gone from flatten the curve to vaccination. And fair enough. Listen, I'm not a medical professional. It is what it is. I am concerned that I believe, and I don't have the exact stat, that we are the lowest vaccinated country of all the developed countries in the world. And I'm sure there's some gray area, and I haven't described that correctly. So again, take it at face value. However, this is a concern. We are a fun-loving people here in Canada. We're incredible. We've got a great country, but this is a test. This is definitely a test. So I hope all of you are doing well out there as best you can. And like I said, I'm looking for guests. You want to come on and vent? Come on and vent. Like I said, it's like a therapy session. I just won't be offering the long couch where you can kind of lie down, face up, and talk about your problems. But definitely let me know if you want to be on the show to talk about it. Let's get into the next topic. Let's talk finance. We've talked COVID. Let's make it this way. This episode is going to be rip off the Band-Aid for all the popular topics and get her done. I think that's a great idea. Let's talk about finance. So, mortgage rates, kind of low. It's going to be, it's an interesting time. That's for sure. We have a lot of clients that are taking advantage of the market. My wife and I, we are COVID stereotype, baby. We've got everything from the puppy. We got a COVID puppy, we'll call him. Lenny in November, rescue from the Bahamas. Thank you, Mel, for that, for bringing in the cute puppy into the office and me walking out with him. And, we just finished up a renovation in our basement. So I actually have a real office with a podcast studio and stuff like that. So we're seeing that a lot right now. And that's an okay thing. Just recently, RBC Economics came out and said that Canadians have the highest household, wait for it, wealth in years. Think about that for a second. For the last 20 years, we've been talking about very, very high indebtedness by Canadians, low rates. We are one of the highest debt to income ratio countries in the world. And now all of a sudden, because we're all locked down and not going anywhere, we now have we have increasing wealth in our households. So my fear is, Bank of Canada or the government saying, well, these lockdowns are kind of working. No one's spending any money because now their wealth's going up. That's a good thing. Try explaining that one to a small business. So it's a good time to look at reviewing your mortgage. Here's my public service announcement, and having a look at the rates, seeing what's out there, and taking it from there. So, all right, let's move on from that topic, because I know people always love talking about it for hours, but not this guy. One thing I mentioned in my first segment there, I've started working out. Let's talk about that. Stephen working out. So rewind to November, and hadn't done the podcast in a while. And I'm going to open up a little bit about this, because I think this is important. This is important for people to understand, people to know. And I think not necessarily we got to talk about it more, but I think people need to just recognize something more. Being locked down, most of us are working from home, which is fantastic if you're able to do that. I think what we all have to be careful of, and I had this kind of aha moment back in November. In my office 12 hours a day, and I very limited contact with other human beings. I'm a social guy. I'm an introvert as the joke goes, I have not been training for this my whole life. So, it definitely a struggle. I wrote an email to my good friends, Phil and Roberta Snyder at Personal Edge Training. They also do the training for our volleyball club and stuff like that. Known them for years. They're amazing. And I kind of put it in writing. And I sent them an email and I said, look, I've had enough. I feel like crap. I don't eat well. I used to be very, very athletic. And of course, as you know, sports have been shut down. Okay, we don't have permits. I started up a new club. I decided this year to shut it down for the year. We can't run our youth programs. Tough to start new club teams when we're talking about a COVID lockdown situation. And I said, I just feel like crap. I don't do anything anymore. I go to my office. I go to bed. I go to the grocery store. I go to the office. I go to bed. I go to the grocery store and repeat. And I sent in an email to them. I said, look, I'm putting this in writing. I'm a bank. That's what we do. We put things in writing. And I said, I need help. Sign me up, man. I gotta get off what's happening to me. And I'm telling you, I had some great momentum. Started the workouts December. Next lockdown came down. I didn't continue. I struggled with the virtual thing, but back at it again. And I'm telling you, I'm learning, and it's been tough. Even my trainer Phil has had a couple of coming to Jesus moments around excuses and getting stuff done. But it's been a tough transition, but it's also been good. I feel better. My message to everybody is this. And I know companies talk about it, and I'm grateful I work for a company that promotes it. I think it's one thing to talk about taking time for yourself, shutting down, getting back to spending time with family, but you have to execute on it. And I had a situation this past Wednesday where I made a choice that evening, shut down everything. I'm going to talk with my family, have dinner with my family. And, something had happened with, unfortunately, someone thought that, and it was not the client, someone thought that their situation was more important in that timeline than me saying this is not urgent. And again, it was definitely not a client. It was internal. And I think I learned something from that no matter what, if I've chosen, because my health and my family is more important, if I have chosen to take time off for myself, for my family, for whatever reason personal, nobody can bring me down from that. Nothing is dire urgent, unless you're a medical professional, that you can lose sight of that. And so I'm slowly, maybe I'm getting older. Remember when you were like, 10, 15, 20 years old and your parents said there's more to life than this and that? Well, guess what? They're right. And I think once you get older, I'm turning 43 this year. I think you start to learn that. I've got two kids, 17, 19. They're turning 18 and 20 this year. My wife, as I've probably documented somewhere, is not in great health, and that's been going on. It's a chronic issue, and you start to learn that while your business is so important, and I love it, there's more to life than that. And I'm not saying that, I'm taking all these nights off and I'm not answering the phone and all that stuff. Well, no, once in a while, you know what? Family first. That's it. And again, I'm lucky I work for a company that promotes that. And I think we all just have to realize it. So, whether you're working out, you go for a walk with the dog just to get the heck away from the world and leave your phone at home. I think that's important. And I think I'm learning that. So, if you're out there and you want to come on and, as I said, Do I have to change this? Maybe it's not the Green Effect podcast anymore. Maybe it's Vent and Therapy podcast. Vent and Therapy Effect. There you go. That's something maybe we'll call it. But, if you want to come on and talk about your experiences that can maybe really benefit people, hey, let's talk. That's the life part of finance, life, and business. So definitely there to, if you want to hit me up, hit me up. All right, so the other feature about my new podcast, or sorry, my apologies, not my new podcast, the reboot of the podcast, it's going to be shorter. Okay, we're not going an hour. What I find, so you know what? Let's piggyback on the last topic. What I find is when I do the longer podcasts, I find that in this culture right now of quick, short, 2-3 minute videos on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, if it's too long, people don't listen. And I'm like that too, because I listen to podcasts as well. And we're going to try to keep this shorter, less than 20 minutes. Hopefully that's a ride to work and a ride back if you're still going to work. Or, I don't know, you're walking the dog or taking a shower or whatever the case may be. But we're going to make this shorter. We're going to keep it quick. And if I got to make it more than one episode, we make it more than one episode. Okay. On that note, I believe we're at, 16-ish minute mark. Love to hear from you. If you want to be on, hit me up. And other than that, folks, let's just make sure we keep the good old COVID popular way to greet and say goodbye to people. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Green Effect Podcast. Subscribe to this podcast on iTunes or Google Play so you catch the next episode. And don't forget to leave a review. Much appreciated.